the second paper 5.2, that is cell biology and cytogenetics. As you know well, the cell biology and cytogenetics comprises of 5 units. That unit number 1 basically explains about the concept of cell and its functions and organelles. There we are going to observe the second unit comprising of variation in chromosomal number. As you know well, each and every eukaryotic organism is associated with a well-developed nucleus. That well-developed nucleus containing organism is able to multiply with the help of division of nucleus, what you are going to call it as karyokinesis. During that division of nucleus, we are going to observe the chromatin network condenses to form chromosomes. And during segregation of chromosomes, number of chromosomes were going to be varied due to non-disjunction. The phenomena of non-disjunction is responsible for the variation in chromosome number. That variation we are going to consider of 2 different types. That is, either it is euploidy or aneuploidy type of variation. That we are going to observe the variation of chromosome number with respect to cell. And there also we are going to observe this variation in number of chromosomes is considered for the plant breeding programs. That what you are going to consider it as the polyploidy breeding. And this polyploidy breeding, through that we are going to observe the development of the variety Raphanobrassica and the significance of polyploidies that we are going to study under the unit number 2, variation in chromosomal numbers. And unit number 3, as you know well, to understand the concepts of cell, it is necessary for us to understand the nucleic acids. That is the unit number 3. There you are going to observe the nucleic acids. There are 2 different types of nucleic acids in the entire living world. That is the DNA as well as RNA, deoxyribonucleic acid and ribonucleic acid. And these 2 plays a very prominent role in the living kingdom. Hence, we need to consider the most predominating nucleic acids found in the cells, that is DNA as well as RNA. That we are going to observe structure of DNA, then replication of DNA, as well as the types of DNA molecules. Similarly, the structure of RNA, then types of RNA, and the functions of RNA that we are going to study in the unit number 3. Then unit number 4 discusses about the concept of gene, that is gene, concept of gene, how the gene is going to be expressed, the color of an individual, height of an individual, or whatever the physical parameters or morphological characteristic features we are observing, all were under the control of the gene. Hence, we are going to consider the gene, gene expression, regulation of gene expression. Then under that we are going to consider operon concept, as we have studied in the second PUC. Operon, the concept of operon that we need to consider here. And at the same time, as we already studied the genetic code, that is characteristic features of genetic code, that we are going to study under unit number 4. Then 5th unit, Mendelian genetics. As you are well aware about the Mendelian genetics, that is biography of Mendelian, Mendel's experiment, that is monohybrid cross, dihybrid cross, and other aspects that we are going to observe in this case. Then the things we need to consider, the modifications of Mendelian ratio, that is interaction of genes, epistasis, hypostasis, supplementary genes, complementary genes, so that we are going to study under the unit number 5, Mendelian genetics. And at the same time, we are going to consider linkage and crossing over. These concepts, that is the number 1, the cell, second unit, variation in chromosomal number, Then third unit, nucleic acids. Fourth unit, gene and its expression. Fifth unit, Mendelian genetics. These are the aspects that we are going to consider under the cell biology and cytogenetics. As a brief, today I am going to be concentrating on the first unit, that is cell and cell organelles. As you know well, the cell is the one where we are going to observe the structural and functional unit of an organism. So if we consider irrespective of group of organisms, there we come across with a basic unit called cell. And that you need to remember who discovered the cells. The invention of the lens, it was by the Robert Hooke that we are going to observe. This is the microscope which was designed by Robert Hooke, and with help of this microscope, he is able to observe the slice of cork, that is dead plant cells, with his microscope, and he was observed the small box-like structures in that cork. Here we are going to observe this is the cork or the dead plant cells which were observed by the Robert Hooke by using his microscope itself. This is the microscope invented by Robert Hooke, and with help of this microscope, he could able to observe the compartment-like cells or the small box-like structures in the cell, in the plant body, that is dead plant body, and he called them as the little boxes are what we are going to call at present as cells. Another most interesting feature that we need to consider here it is Anton van Leeuwenhoek, another a scientist that we need to consider here, and he could able to identify the first person who is, this is the person who is called as Anton Leeuwenhoek, and he also designed his own microscope, and this is the microscope designed by Leeuwenhoek. And with the help of this microscope device and is identified and constructed by Leeuwenhoek, able to identify the living cells. But you need to remember, Robert Hooke observed dead cells, but the Leeuwenhoek able to observe the living cells for the first time. And those cells observed by the Anton van Leeuwenhoek, he referred them as any molecules. He is unable to refer them as cells. He referred them as any molecules. Later we are going to consider the three scientists after observation by Robert Hooke and Leeuwenhoek. Three scientists were worked extensively that we are going to observe in the 1838, 1839 and 1855. Three scientists were worked extensively in the field of cell biology, and they were named as the Sheldon, Swan as well as Virtue. And these three scientists were able to develop the concept called cell theory. What the cell theory is that we need to consider is Matthew Sheldon concluded that plants are composed of cells. That you need to remember, all the plants made up of cell and concept anna Matthew Sheldon first time ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, that is Matthew Sheldon concluded that all the plants are composed of cells. And Theodore Swan, he concluded that, or he is able to identify, and he has presented, or he concluded that all animals are composed of cells. But remember, the plants were made up of cells, but concept was proposed by Matthew Sheldon. All the animals were composed of cells. Concept is proposed by Hello friends, try to mute yourself. And another scientist called by name Rudolf Virchow, he could able to determine the cells, and those cells were come from a pre-existing cells that we need to consider. The cells were arised from pre-existing cells. By the concept of these three scientists, it was possible to develop the theory that is called as cell theory. And here we need to consider what the cell theory? What is the cell theory then? That we need to consider. Cell theory explains about all the living things are composed of one or more cells. As the Sheldon and Swan proposed that plants and animals were made up of cells, and that is the first concept or first postulate of the cell theory. That is, all living cells, all living things are composed of cells. And then we are going to observe the cells are organisms, that is, basic units structure. The basic units, cells are organisms, basic units of structure as well as function, that we need to consider. Each and every cell in an individual act as a structural and functional unit. What we are going to consider as cells are structural and functional units of the organisms. Another that we need to consider here, the third postulate of the cell theory, cells come only from the pre-existing cells. Again, we are having the question that from where the pre-existing cells were arised. This is still a debatable question that scientists were searching for. Then if we consider, after proposing the cell theory, scientists were able to identify two different types of cells based on their property of nucleus. That we need to consider eukaryotic cells as well as the prokaryotic cells. Athwa, the organisms which contains eukaryotic cell, they are called as eukaryotic organisms, and organisms which contain prokaryotic cells, they are called as prokaryotic organisms. Then what eukaryotic cell means, or what prokaryotic cell means? The prokaryotic cell means, pro refers to primitive, pro refers to primitive, karyon refers to nucleus. The organisms which contain the primitive nucleus were referred as prokaryotic organisms. Then what is pronucleus or the primitive nucleus? The primitive nucleus is the one where there is no nuclear membrane. It means the nuclear material is directly suspended in the cytoplasmic mass of the cell, and there actually there is no nuclear membrane. Nucleus is devoid of nuclear membrane, and such nucleus is called as incipient nucleus or false nucleus. The organisms which contain false nucleus were referred as prokaryotic organisms or prokaryotic cells. And it is possible for you to define now eukaryotic cell. Eu means true or definite. Karyon means again nucleus. The organisms which contains definite nucleus or true nucleus were referred as the eukaryotic organisms. Then we need to consider, for example, for prokaryotic cell, that is bacteria, and for eukaryotic cell, animals, plants, fungi, protista, mean the cell nucleus with a nuclear membrane. If it is present in the cell, then it is called as definite nucleus. Nucleus without nuclear membrane is called as indefinite nucleus. The organisms which contain definite nucleus, they are called as eukaryotic cells. The cell which contains indefinite nucleus, that is called as prokaryotic cell. And the organisms are respectively called as eukaryotic organisms and prokaryotic organisms. Then we are going to consider here, this is the animal cell and this is the bacterial cells, and these bacterial cells are having no defined nucleus, and here we are going to observe the defined nucleus, and this nucleus is associated with a nuclear membrane, and this is the outer border nuclear membrane, and it's the central nucleolus, and this is the material what we call it as nucleoplasm, and in this nucleoplasm genetic material or chromatic network is suspended. Then we need to consider here the prokaryotic cell. If you look into the structure of prokaryotic cell, there we are going to observe this is the genetic material. As this genetic material is directly suspended in the cytoplasmic mass, what we are called as nucleoid. Instead of calling it as a nucleus, we call it as nucleoid. And here it is made up of the protective layer that is called as plasma membrane, and that plasma membrane is externally covered by the thick coat that is called as cell wall, and outer to the cell wall we are having the slimy mucilage coat, and that mucilage coat is called as capsule. And in this prokaryotic organisms, we were going to observe ribosomes. What is the difference? The ribosomes were found in both prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic cells. What is the difference with respect to prokaryotes and eukaryotes? Prokaryotic cells are having 70 S type of ribosomes, and eukaryotic cells were having 80 S type of ribosomes. That you need to remember. Based on the ribosome, based on the nuclear content, we can segregate the cells into two different types. That is prokaryotic cell as well as eukaryotic cell. Again, with respect to size is also the prokaryotic cells were usually smaller, and when we compare with respect to eukaryotic cell. Then if you look into when we consider the first concept I mentioned, organelle, cell and organelles, what the organelle means. Organelle is the one, it is membrane bound structure that carry out the specific functions. And organ irtade, that organ is surrounded by the membrane. That membrane either it may be single layered, double layered, or triple layered, or some organelles were found in the cell, they are devoid of membrane. ಕೆಲವೊಂದು membrane less ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು single membrane ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು double membrane ಇರುವಂತ organelles ಇರ್ತಾವೆ. The organelle is the one either which is bounded by the membrane or it is devoid of membrane, but it involved in the specific activities. For example, if you consider chloroplast, it is a double membrane bound organelle. That chloroplast is involved actively in the phenomena called photosynthesis. And if you look into another organelle that is called mitochondria, that mitochondria is also double membraned organelle. It is involved in the phenomena called respiration. And if you look into the ribosomes, they are membraneless organelles. They are involved in the synthesis of protein, peroxisomes. There are many organelles that you look into the endoplasmic reticulum, and that is also one of the organelle. Like that, we are going to observe different organelles were present in the cell, and each and every organelle is having its own functions. And hence, because organelle can be defined as a membrane bound or membrane dividing structure that carry out the specific activities for a particular cell are called as the organelles. And structure of organelles that we need to consider. The structure and functions of the organelles were going to be considered where that we need to consider here. The organelle, that is cell membrane, outermost boundary found in both plant cell as well as animal cell. Plant cell and animal cell common ಆಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂತ outer protective boundary, it is called as cell membrane. And this cell membrane is made up of two unique characteristic features. It is flexible in nature. There we are going to observe flexible in nature, and it is made up of lipids and proteins. And hence we are going to study the structure of cell membrane by the help of a mosaic model. And there are many models proposed by different scientists. Unity model, mosaic model, bilayer model, like that there are many models, but out of that we are going to concentrate on the well accepted model for explanation of the cell membrane. It is mosaic model. Then we are going to observe this membrane is protected by cell wall in case of bacteria, in case of fungi, and in case of plant. But in case of animal cell wall is absent. As I am dealing with respect to botany, hence I am considered the cell wall is one of the parameter while discussing with the structure and functions of the organelles. Then the cell wall, in case of plants, it is made up of cellulose or hemicellulose, and in case of bacteria, it is made up of peptidoglycan, and in case of fungi, it is made up of chitin that we are going to observe. The cell wall material is going to differ from one group of organisms to other group. If you consider the plant, there you are observing cellulose and hemicellulose as the wall material. And if you consider fungi, there we are going to observe chitin. And if you consider the bacteria, there you are going to observe peptidoglycan. Like that, we are going to observe various structures or various components with respect to cell wall. The most dominating organelle found in the cell, which regulates all the cellular activities, that is called as nucleus. And this nucleus is located either at the center or it is deviated from the center of the cell, because either it may be at the center or it is little bit away from the center. That arrangement of the nucleus, it is because of the size and volume occupied by the vacuole. If the vacuole is large enough in the cell, then the nucleus shifted from the center to the peripheral region. If the vacuole is small or negligible, or if it is absent, then the nucleus is present at the center of the cell. And this membrane and cell wall were enclosed of the colloidal mass. And that colloidal mass enclosed by the cell membrane or plasma membrane, that is called as cytoplasm. And this cytoplasm is associated with the water, mineral nutrients, proteins, and other essential components required for the cellular activities. They are dissolved in the form, and because of the dissolved nature, the cytoplasm appears colloidal in nature. Then we are going to observe another most important concept of the cell, it is cytoskeleton. As you know well, the human body is associated with a skeleton. In the similar fashion, because of skeleton only, we are able to stand erectly and we are able to perform all the functions in a proper manner. And we are having a definite shape because of skeleton. And how the cell is able to maintain its structure and its shape, it is because of the cytoskeleton. And this cytoskeleton is made up of microtubules and microfilaments. These microtubules and microfilaments were made up of protein. The protein tubulin is associated with the microfilaments and microtubules, and those microtubules, microfilaments were responsible for formation of cytoskeleton, and this cytoskeleton provides an structure and shape, definite shape and structure for the cell. Hence, this is a major characteristic feature to determine the shape of the cell, that is cytoskeleton. As already mentioned that ribosomes, these are called as protein factories. And these ribosomes are of two different types. In case of prokaryotic organisms, it is 70S. In case of eukaryotic organisms, it is 80S. S stands for Swedberg unit. Swedberg unit, that is the unit of sedimentation coefficient. Then we are going to observe the another most important organelle, which is directly connected with the membrane of the nucleus, that is nuclear membrane, that is endoplasmic reticulum. It may be, there are two different types, that is rough endoplasmic reticulum as well as smooth endoplasmic reticulum. If the endoplasmic reticulum is associated with the ribosomes, then it is called as rough endoplasmic reticulum. If it is void of ribosomes, then it is called a smooth endoplasmic reticulum. You can observe another is single membrane bound organelle, that is Golgi apparatus. Then double membrane bound organelle, mitochondria. Then single bound organelle, lysosomes. Then we are going to observe peroxisomes, cilia and flagella, basal bodies, centrioles, vacuoles, and plastids. And here we are going to observe the plastids are of different types: amyloplast, chloroplast, xanthoplast. Like that, we are going to elioplast. Depending upon the type of the food stored by the plastids, we are amyloplast is the one plastid which is able to store the food called starch. Elioplast are the plastids able to store the food called lipids and fats. And that we are going to observe chloroplast. It is a plastid associated with a chlorophyll pigment, and it is found in the plants and responsible for the phenomena called as the photosynthesis. Then we are going to look into the cell membrane, the first organelle, that is cell membrane. And here we are going to observe the outermost boundary in all the cells, irrespective of plant and animal. The outer boundary, it is made up of the cell membrane. That is, as I already mentioned, that it is enclosed by membrane, controls the, what is the main function of this membrane is, it controls the passage of material in and out to the cell, and from the cell the materials need to be exchanged. That exchange of the material between the cell is possible through the only the structure that is called as the plasma membrane. Here we are going to observe, this is the plasma membrane, what I call it as the fluid mosaic model. That fluid mosaic model, it is made up of the two layers of the lipid. This is the lipid layer and these are the proteins. Two lipid layers associated with the protein, hence it is called as a lipid bilayer model. And in this lipid bilayer model, we are going to observe the lipids were having the head region as well as a tail region. And this fluid mosaic model was proposed by Nicholson and Singer, the two scientists who developed the lipid layer, that mosaic model of the membrane, Nicholson and Singer and Nicholson. And here, these are there are proteins, there are two different types of proteins, integral proteins and the external proteins, extrinsic proteins and intrinsic proteins. And these are the intrinsic proteins, the proteins which are compactly arranged with a lipid layer, they are called as intrinsic proteins. Some of the proteins which we are going to observe here, that is on the cell membrane, they are loosely attached, they are called as extrinsic proteins. And these extrinsic protein and the intrinsic proteins were providing the extra strength to the cell membrane. And at the same time, these proteins were associated with a carbohydrates, hence they are called as glycoproteins. If they are associated with the lipids, then we call as the lipoproteins. And these are the carbohydrate units which are attached to the intrinsic protein as well as the extrinsic protein. The extrinsic protein go and the intrinsic protein go carbohydrate attached to the, hence we call them as the glycoproteins. And in between we are going to observe the presence of cholesterol. And the another organelle that we need to consider, it is the nucleus. This nucleus, it is a double membrane bound organelle. It is made up of outermost protective layer, that is called as the nuclear membrane, and it is made up of, here we are observing the outer layer as well as inner membrane, outer membrane and inner membrane. And this outer inner membrane, it is a continuous, and inner membrane is associated with the endoplasmic reticulum, that is the discontinuous outer membrane of the nucleus and continuous inner membrane. Or sometimes we are going to observe both outer and inner membrane of the nucleus were discontinuous, and that discontinuity forms an opening. Here we are going to observe this opening is called as nuclear pore. And through this nuclear pore, the exchange of nuclear material occurs into the cytoplasm. The material moves from cytoplasm to the nucleus and nucleus to the cytoplasm through this opening, that is called as nuclear pore. In the presence of this nuclear pore is identified as the structure called, that we need to consider, where the discontinuity. And at the center of this nucleus, or the nuclear membrane, is enclosed by the liquid or colloidal substance, and that colloidal substance is called as nucleoplasm. And in that nucleoplasm, there is a darkly stainable body. And this darkly stainable body presented in the nucleus, that is called as nucleolus. And this nucleolus is also, or nucleus is also associated with a chromatin network, that is nothing but genetic material. And when it is under normal condition, we call it as chromatin. There are two different types of chromatin, euchromatin as well as heterochromatin. Euchromatin is the one where active protein synthesis occurs, and heterochromatin is the one, it is considered as non-functional chromatin network. And this nucleus controls all the cellular activities, and it is the central center of the cell, and it contains DNA code for the cell coiled into the chromosomes. Later, during the division of cell, this chromatin network undergo condensation and spiralization. Due to condensation and spiralization, that chromatin network become chromosomes. Then the other concepts that we need to consider in the next period, that is cytoplasm and other organelles, that I am going to consider for the next period, as because the time is running short. Now we are having only 2 minutes, and if you are having any queries, you can raise your hands, and if possible, I try to answer for those. Okay, if there are no queries, then I will end the meeting. Thank you. I will continue the class by tomorrow.